Hiroshi is a loser who hates his life after virtual reality games went extinct. He used to be a track star, but he quit because he was too lazy. He just wants to play video games all day with his nerdy friend Takafumi. But then, he gets robbed by some bullies who take his money. He can't afford to buy the new game he wanted, finalizing Quest 22, which is the same old boring crap as the previous 21 games. He is so desperate that he goes to a shady games store called Kisaragi, where a hot chick works. She rants about how all the games nowadays suck and how people are sheep who buy them anyway. She also says that manga is the same way. Hiroshi agrees with her, but he still wants to play finalizing Quest 22. He thinks she has it, so he pays her 10,000 yen, which is way too much for a game. But then, he finds out that she tricked him and gave him a different game called Kiwame Quest. It's an old game that nobody plays anymore because it's too realistic and hard. Hiroshi is pissed off and wants his money back. But the hot chick tells him that it's an adult game with hot scenes. Hiroshi is curious and decides to keep it. Little does he know that he just bought the most hardcore virtual reality game ever made. Yes, even more than Sword Arts Online. Hiroshi is screwed. He bought a crappy 10-year-old game that he can't return. He tries to call the game store, but they don't pick up. He gets home and accidentally sees his sister Key doing laundry. He goes to his room and starts the game. A cute lady with brown hair tells him that he is the hero who has to save the world of Aberdeen. He has to go to the Flora Castle, which sounds like a lame name for a castle. He wakes up in a bed and everything looks super real. He can even feel pain, which sucks. A nice girl named Alicia comes in and says that she is his childhood friend. She wants to go apple picking with him, which sounds boring. Hiroshi thinks that this is a stupid game and tries to find the menu. He sees that he can save the game, which is good. Then, Alicia's brother Martin comes in and laughs at Hiroshi for being confused. He gives him an apple and Hiroshi is amazed by how real it tastes and smells. He remembers that he has to go to the Flora Castle, so he asks them how to get out of the town. They freak out and tell him that he can't do that because there are goblins outside and the guards will catch him. Hiroshi thinks that he can handle some goblins, so he challenges Martin to a fight. Martin beats him up easily and Hiroshi gets angry. He has a typical anime flashback and grabs Martin's with all his force. Martin dies and Alicia screams and chases Hiroshi out of the house. Hiroshi runs through the town like a madman. He sees the hot chick from the game store, but she is a fairy now. Her name is Riona and she says that she is his support character. She also tells him that the collar around his neck shows his title in the game. It says Best Friend Killer. Hiroshi wonders what kind of sick game this is. Hiroshi is in big trouble. He slayed his best friend in the game and he can't undo it. He can't delete his data or restart the game because the game autosaves everything. The only way to start over is to buy a new console, which costs a fortune. Riona, the hot fairy chick, says that she has one in her store, but she charges too much for it. Hiroshi wants his money back, but she says no refunds. She tells him that they should find another player named Jinji, who also destroyed his best friend 10 years ago when the game came out. Maybe he can help them. But first, they need to buy some new clothes because Hiroshi is wanted for murder. There are posters of his face everywhere. They go to a clothing store and Hiroshi gets ripped off by the seller. They head to the casino where Jinji hangs out because he likes to gamble. Riona tells Hiroshi about the city they are in, called Ted. It's a crappy city with goblins and guards and stuff. On the way, they run into Alicia, who is crazy and wants to destroy Hiroshi for slaying her brother. She has the same knife that slayed Martin. She attacks him and Hiroshi runs away like a coward. He hides in a log cabin in the forest and gets a new title, Coward. He tries to log out of the game, but he can't because he is still in combat mode. Alicia finds him and pokes his hand with her knife. Riona punches her back and Hiroshi runs away again. Alicia swears that she will destroy him someday. Hiroshi finally logs out of the game and breathes a sigh of relief. He wonders when was the last time he ran so much. The next day, Hiroshi gets a message from Riona, who wants him to play more Kiwame Quest with her. He goes to school and tells his friend Takafumi about the game. Takafumi thinks that video games are lame and childish and that Hiroshi should deal with his real-life problems instead. Hiroshi goes home and his sister Keed yells at him for making noise last night. He fights with her and goes to his room. He logs back into the game and sees that his hand is still injured. He finds a herb that can heal it, but he doesn't know how to use it. Then, he meets a fat guy who says that he is Jinji. Jinji helps him heal his hand and takes him to the casino to talk. Jinji tells him that he slayed his best friend Enrique and another friend with judo moves 10 years ago. He also tells him about Kamui, the only person who beat the game and got a cool title, Godslayer. Hiroshi thinks that title is awesome and better than his own, Best Friend Killer. Jinji says that his title is Heartless. Then, he betrays Hiroshi and reveals his identity to everyone in the casino. He calls for the guards and says that Hiroshi is a murderer. Hiroshi is doomed. The guards come and arrest him. He tries to escape, but Jinji flips him over and pins him down. Jinji gets some money for snitching on him. He tells Hiroshi not to admit that he slayed Martin or he will go to jail. Jinji knows because he did the same thing 10 years ago and spent 13 years in prison. The guards drag Hiroshi through the city and everyone hates him. They throw stuff at him and call him names. Hiroshi begs the guard to let him go because he is the hero, but the guard thinks he is crazy. Hiroshi sees Alicia watching him with a murderous look in her eyes. He asks the guard to lock him up. In jail, Hiroshi waits for his trial. He wants to log out of the game, but he can't because he is in a game event. He is hungry and has to use the restroom. He hates how real the game is. He finds a nasty toilet and tries to use it. Then, a girl named Mizarasa comes and takes Hiroshi out of his cell. She leads him to a special room and Hiroshi thinks that maybe this is a special time event. He is wrong. It is a torture event, which sounds like a worse thing. Mizarasa is a psycho who enjoys people screaming. She is happy that Hiroshi is scared. She wants to start the torture, but then the guard stops her. He says that the head of the city guard Tesla wants to talk to Hiroshi. Hiroshi is glad that he dodged a bullet and he gets a new title, Lucky. He gets out of his chains and logs out of the game. He swears that he will never play the game again. Hiroshi is scared out of his mind. He logs out of the game and checks his pants. He is okay, thank goodness. He looks at the game cartridge and remembers last time. Flashback to the past. When Hiroshi was a track star, he was in a big race with scouts and a pro racer named Tatsuya, who beat him before. He met McLachlan, a former pro racer and a sports writer who praised him and wished him luck. Hiroshi was pumped, but he forgot to use the restroom before the race. He started the race and fell behind. He tried to catch up, but he tripped and fell. His friend Takafumi and his teacher Yasuoka ran to help him, but it was too late. Hiroshi embarrassed himself in front of everyone. That was the day he quit running for good. Back to the present, Hiroshi fights with his sister Kate about his game noise. She also gets mad when he says he quit the game. She says he always quits when things get hard. Hiroshi goes to school and then to Riona's game store. He tries to sell her back the game, but she won't take it. She shows him a website made by Kamui, the only person who beat the game. He gives tips and tricks for the game, but they are all useless for Hiroshi's situation. Riona convinces Hiroshi to keep playing the game anyway. Hiroshi logs back into the game and continues where he left off. He goes to meet Tesla, the head of the guards. Hiroshi is still hated by everyone in the game. He got cleared of slaying Martin, but the villagers still think he did it. They chase him and throw rocks at him. He tries to get a job at the vocational center, but he angers the lady at the desk. He makes fun of her for being an ex-criminal who opened the center with dirty money. Riona tells him to borrow money from Jinji, another player who slayed his best friend. But Jinji and Hiroshi get into a fight because Jinji mocks him. They have a duel, but they suck at fighting. Martin's ghost and Jinji's ghost friends show up and yell at them. Riona tricks Jinji into paying her because he lost the duel, even though they never agreed on that. They go to Melissa's item shop to buy some smoke bombs. Hiroshi finds out that they are super expensive and he only has enough money for 2. He also has to pay a fee for entering the shop, which makes him broke. They go back to the house where Hiroshi slayed Martin by accident and started his nightmare in the game. He wants to get his sword back, but Alicia is there and she wants to destroy him. He throws a smoke bomb, but it doesn't work. Riona says he forgot to light it, and he whines. Alicia attacks him, but then Mizarasa shows up and stops her. She says that Hiroshi is hers to torture. Mizarasa says that Hiroshi is innocent because Tesla said so. Tesla is the boss of the guards and he can do whatever he wants. Riona tells Hiroshi that Mizarasa followed him to the house because she likes him. She suggests that he ask her to join his party. Hiroshi thinks that's a good idea, but then Mizarasa says that she tracked him by his smell. Riona says that's true because the game is very realistic. Hiroshi is grossed out and angry. Alicia tries to attack him again, but Mizarasa pulls him away. Alicia doesn't care about the law, she just wants revenge. Mizarasa challenges Alicia to a fight. She also says that she wants to torture Hiroshi until he has another accident. Hiroshi doesn't like that either. They fight and Hiroshi tries to help Mizarasa. He throws Alicia's knife out the window, but she has 2 more. He remembers a tip from Kamui, the only person who beat the game. He says that he should help Alicia, but that doesn't work. She kicks him in the chest and he falls down. Martin's ghost shows up and Alicia is happy to see him. Hiroshi thinks of another tip from Kamui. He says that he loves Alicia and asks her to live with him. Alicia is confused and embarrassed and runs away. Riona congratulates Hiroshi for surviving another challenge in the game. Hiroshi realizes that he has been playing the game wrong. He should play it like it's real. He goes to the Kinura tree and calls Martin's ghost. They talk and Hiroshi holds his hand. He sees a flashback of when they were kids with Alicia. He remembers their promise to be friends forever. He apologizes to Martin and they make up. Martin's ghost disappears and Hiroshi gets a new title. He sees smoke coming from the city. Hiroshi goes to the city and sees that it's on fire. He asks some people what's going on, but they push him and ignore him. Riona says that they are too scared to talk because goblins are attacking the city. The moat that kept them out dried up for some reason. Riona tells Hiroshi to go to the blacksmith and fix his rusty sword. He does, but the blacksmith is too busy to help him. He gives him a whetstone and tells him to do it himself. He also tells him that goblins are super strong and dangerous. Hiroshi tries to sharpen his sword, but he hears people screaming and dying. He wants to fight the goblins, but Riona stops him. She says that he has no chance against them and that if he dies in the game, his game and console will break forever. She also says that Kiwame Quest is the worst game ever and that many people sued the game company for making it. Hiroshi has no choice but to watch another video from Kamui, the only person who beat the game. But before he logs out, he wants to see the goblins for himself. He sees a little girl being chased by a goblin and he tries to save her. Riona tells him not to, but he doesn't listen. 3 guards show up and try to fight the goblin, but they get slayed. Riona says that only Kamui and another player named Shohei, who became a famous boxer in real life, could beat the goblins. Hiroshi still wants to save the girl, but Riona tells him to at least change his pants. He puts on the blacksmith's pants and runs to the girl. The girl looks like his sister Keed. 2 more goblins show up and Hiroshi tries to fight them, but he gets knocked down. One of them goes after the girl, but Hiroshi unlocks a new skill that makes him run super fast. He catches up with the girl at the city center, where 2 more goblins are waiting. Tesla, the head of the guards, shows up and slays them with his lightning extreme sword attack. Riona explains that Tesla is a powerful person who can use magic swords. Amos, another guard, comes with more guards and helps put out the fires. Tesla orders his men to take the girl home and asks Hiroshi if he wants to join the guards as a mercenary. Hiroshi is happy and says yes, even though Riona thinks it's a bad idea. He gets a new title and saves the game. The next day, Hiroshi tells Takafumi about Kiwame Quest, and Takafumi thinks that Hiroshi likes the game. Hiroshi walks home and wonders if he does. He watches another video from Kamui and learns that he took a very hard quest route with a very low survival rate. He then sees another quest from Kamui. He says that he has to slay goblins to save the city, but the chances are very low. He says that there is a secret behind the city, but he also says that the quest might break the player. He gives him a password for the next video and some advice. Hiroshi decides to keep playing the game because he doesn't want to quit like he did when he embarrassed himself in the race. He gives his sister Keed his pudding and tells her his plan. She doesn't care and slams the door on him. Hiroshi logs into the game and meets Tesla, the head of the guards. He takes him to Queen Govern's mansion, where she hugs him and wishes him luck. Riona shows up and scolds Hiroshi for not watching Kamui's videos before. They go to the training grounds, where Tesla introduces Hiroshi as a mercenary. He also introduces 2 other mercenaries, Granada and Paulo. He says that the goblins want to destroy the mansion and the city. He leaves them with Bob, a guard who takes them to their rooms. In his room, Hiroshi talks to Riona and puts on his armor. Bob comes back and tells him to go to the training grounds for sword and martial arts exercises. He asks Hiroshi if he was a spy or something, because he looks weak. They go to the training grounds, where Amos, another guard, is the instructor. Kathy, a soldier who helped the girl that looked like Keed, talks to Hiroshi and tries to shake his hand. Amos stops them and fights Hiroshi. He beats him easily and then Granada beats him too. Amos quits for the day. Hiroshi tries to eat lunch with Bob and Kathy, but they ignore him. He eats alone and feels sad. On day 2 of his training, Hiroshi goes to the training grounds and Amos makes fun of him. He tells him to swing his sword like a dummy. Granada taunts him for destroying his best friend and tries to fight him. Kathy stops them and helps Hiroshi practice with her. She teaches him some useful skills with the sword. On day 3, they have a mock match and Hiroshi fights Granada again. He loses again. Hiroshi is miserable in the game. He sucks at sword fighting and everyone hates him. Riona tells him to go to the consultation office, but they don't help him. They tell him that he should quit the game. Kathy, the only nice person, asks him if he is okay. He lies and says yes. She says that she is religious and prays to the god of the game world. Riona thinks that they should go to the church and maybe get a quest. They go, but the priestess dumps cold water on Hiroshi and says that he is purified. Riona says that his luck will change now. Day 4 of his training, Hiroshi still loses to Granada and Paulo. They try to take his money and bully him. Kathy tries to get Amos, the instructor, to stop them, but they act innocent. They pressure Kathy to join them and she says that she is not Hiroshi's friend. She leaves with them and Hiroshi feels betrayed. Riona laughs and says that the game is very realistic. She says that she will use her fairy magic to help him. Day 5 of his training, Granada's boots are gone. He is angry because his grandma made them. He finds them in the sewer water. Then, his sword is gone too. Everyone looks for it, but they can't find it. He finds it in the toilet and pulls it out. He blames Hiroshi for messing with him, but Hiroshi denies it. The other mercenaries defend Hiroshi and say that he helped them look for the sword. Then, they hear a scream from the locker room. Maria, the nurse, says that her special pants are missing. They find them in Granada's bag and Granada says that he didn't steal them. The other mercenaries gang up on Granada and tell him to leave. Granada asks Palu to come with him, but Palu says no. Granada cries and leaves. The last number of your like is who powers you get. Comment who you got. Do not forget to subscribe for more anime recaps.